Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. Do you realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world? Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind, doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And Justin VK7 Tango Whiskey here at the desk. And we'll just... Okay, I've just had it come up on the screen. So just to, before we commence, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders past, emerging and in the present, and for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania, and very relevant today, given we now know that the referendum is on October the 14th, was announced today. So there you go. Now, Friday night, there might have been some people out there who watched the DATV QSO Party, put on by our host was Peter Cossins, VK3BFG, and Peter was wrangling the many Victorian stations. There was Tasmanian, there was us, there was some VK2s, there was an Italian station in there, there was an American station in there on the Friday night. And many Victorian stations, all going through VK3RTV, which is, if you haven't checked out VK3RTV, it is a very, very impressive amateur digital amateur television repeater, which is based in Victoria. So everything went through VK3RTV. I will put a couple of YouTube links in the information about this particular broadcast, which gives you the YouTube streams that they recorded for the Friday night and then the Saturday. The Saturday we didn't participate in, but the Saturday had many US and UK stations, I think, from memory. And so they were brought into the stream, and it went. We had a few technical issues to start with, which involved. I think we were pumping out way too much bandwidth for poor old VK3RTV to cope with. When we backed the bandwidth off, I think we got down to about 10 megabits per second. Everything seemed to come right, but on 75 megabits per second, I think it was a little bit overwhelmed. So anyway, we learnt that, and we went ahead and and did a bit of a tour of the ATV studio. So that was really good. Now, one of the few things I thought I'd show tonight. There's a whole lot going on in the world of amateur radio, and one of the things I get a fair few comments about is, and I'll head to our. Let's see if I can. There we go. I'll head to our. Yes, okay. We can see that. I don't think I can do that any better. This is an open source design called an ATU 100, and there's a couple of different variations of this. It comes in a very nice little case. There is, if we zoom out a little bit there, comes in a very nice little case. Let me just. That's a bit better. Little metal case. There are the two connectors on the back, and a little OLED display on the front. If I turn it on, there's a LiPo battery inside that runs. There's and a little microcontroller. There's a whole lot of inductors and capacitors in here that it switches through. There's obviously an SWR bridge, and you put it into a tune mode. Put a little bit of power into here. It does need between sort of 5 and 10 watts to get it to actuate. So not really for QRP rigs or the high end of QRP rigs. And it clicks through and tries to do a match, and then what it does is give you ends up giving you the inductors and the capacitors that it's actually selected on the front panel, which is interesting and quite good. I have to say it doesn't, once it gets below about 1.5 to 1, it stops trying to tune. And so it probably could do a little bit better, but it gets you down very quickly to 1.5 to 1. And in a very nice little package, the batteries, the LiPo batteries inside last about 5 to 6 hours, and then you can charge it through this this micro USB connector on the front, and there's a little charge lead that tells you that it's charging. But really, really nice, quite robust. You'd be going to demolish it, and you can read the display in sun, which is fantastic. So, and weighs a couple of hundred grams, I reckon. So if you wanted to take it like on a SOTA trip, and you had a transceiver that put out a transmitter that put out 5 to 10 watts, I think this would be a good little option. They are available in a whole lot of different formats. This is the particular one, and I have to thank Michael VK7MRS for putting me onto this. I did a training course down at Signet, and he bought one of these out, and I was really, really impressed with it. So yeah. Anyway, that's the ATU 100 little automatic antenna tuning unit. It's up to 100 watts, or actually I think it's about 60 watts that it's rated at. 100 watts for very short term, but great little ATU. Really, really good. Now, last week I bought in the Dave Trewhen G7IYK's magnetic loop tuner. Now, I forgot to put it in the box, so I apologise for that. But in the intervening week, I actually got there is a wonderful amateur who has been contributing to the design of the magnetic loop tuner, and came up with a 3D printed case. I got it printed in resin. Now, this is my first foray into resin, and you can see this is. I'm really impressed with this case. Really, really high quality. The edges and the bottom, really, really smooth finish. Even the inside that is not up against the base is really, really smooth. All of the mounting points are really, really well defined. There are holes in each side so you can bring out the connectors and the various controls. I'm looking at putting probably a bit of clear perspex on here with the relevant holes in it for the buttons and bits and pieces. There's a bit of scaffolding here that I have to cut out, but really impressed. Resin case, and the resin case actually cost me all of about $9 more than an ABS case, which is what I originally specified the case to be printed in. So really impressed, and great work by, I think he's a Polish, from memory I think, and I apologise if I get this wrong, I think he's a Polish amateur who came up with the box and the mounting points. The mounting points are good enough that you could just tap with a bottom G tap the relevant thread that you want into those mounting points, and then just put a metal thread into it at those mounting points. So a little bit of protection for my magnetic loop tuner, which is fantastic because I'm being really careful with it right at the moment because it's often working, and I have been using it in anger. So that's the magnetic loop tuner. Now a few other things. I've been running 160 meters, 160 meter Whisper for about the last couple of weeks using the short top-loaded vertical, and the top-loaded vertical is a design that is going to appear in next month's, which is tomorrow. September's tomorrow. Next month's AR magazine, and it'll appear in there, so you can see how to put one of these together, and the coil design and the learnings. And also there is a wonderful section in that article around the ground loop experiments that Kim Briggs, VK7KB, and myself did up here on the Queen's Domain. We have a 120 wire ground plane up here, which used to be underneath the biconical monopole that used to be up here for the Coast Wireless Station. And so what we have is an absolutely wonderful reference ground that we can then reference things to. And we did a whole lot of field strength experiments with the 160 meter vertical with 4 ground plane wires above ground, and then I went to 8, and then I went to 16, and we did field strength, absolute field strength measurements each time that we added those ground plane wires in. And interesting, very interesting results. The ground plane with 8 wires, 8 above ground wires, was probably equivalent to the 120 wire ground plane we've got here. Now, I say that with a little bit of intrepidation because the ground plane wires that are up here, some of them are quite damaged. We're not quite sure of the actual full condition of that ground plane. So I'm a little bit dubious about those results, but the comparison certainly when we measured it in absolute field strength was about the same as 8. When you add another 8, so you get to 16, you're into that area of diminishing returns, and you could then go to 32, and you could go to 64, and what that would be doing with the vertical, though, we did model this. It does bring the radiation angle down with a really good ground plane, and so more and more of those ground plane wires would actually bring your radiation angle down, your maximum radiation angle, because there's obviously a donut, but would bring that maximum radiation angle down, and also that would of course make it a better DX type antenna because you're shooting off at a really low angle. But anyway, all of those results are in AR magazine this month. Now, one of the problems I've got at home is and you can see here, this is the Minikits. I'll do a shout out to Mark Kilmeyer at Minikits. Fantastic organisation based in South Australia. Now this is the Minikits. This is the high pass, the 1.8 meg high pass filter kit that comes with its own little PCB, and these are all the ferrites and the wire that you wind and all the capacitors and everything that are in here. And it fits in one of those wonderful little Hammond die-cast cases with a BNC connector each end, so you can house it in a really nice little arrangement. Now, I bought one of these, and I also bought. There's another kit that Mark produces, which is a 160 meter bandpass filter. So this actually, and in fact, what I'll do, I'll take because there are some plots in here, and you can see this is a slightly different form factor, and what it does is fit into a Hammond, one of these little Hammond cases. Hello. One of these little Hammond cases. Really nicely fits into one of those little Hammond cases. These are the capacitors, and so these are the surface mount capacitors. Mark mounts these all on a little screed, so because you have no hope in knowing which ones are which. So these are the capacitors that go onto the board, and then you can see there's the little ferrites here in the little mounting box for the ferrites. Now, if we open up the it's not in here. So I thought that they must be on the website only, but he's got some wonderful plots. So this is a 7th order Chebyshev bandpass filter. That's the actual schematic for it. There's three inductors and a whole bunch of capacitors throughout this in bypass and shunt, it provides you with, and I'll just go in here, I don't know whether it's in writing, the cutoff I suspect is about 1 meg. Yes, okay. Here we go. Testing and alignment. There should be no reduction of signals between 1.7 and 2.1 megs, and there should be at least an 80 dB attenuation at 9 megs and more at higher frequencies. So it just gives you that little bit of the 160 meter section of the band. So I've had some reports from people saying we can hear your signal. It's fantastic. I'm putting out about 10 watts, and I'm certainly coming up and getting decodes all over the place. The most decode that I've got, the longest decode I've got, is about 14,000 kilometres to Canada and the US, 14,000 and 12,000. So I'm doing okay, but the problem is I have a noise level that's about S9. At local noise level, so hopefully I can cut out some of that, and I think some of it's actually coming from broadcast stations, which is your usual problem when you have 160 meters, because you're down just above the broadcast band. Now the other kit that arrived during the week, I think my wife's getting a little bit sick of having parcels delivered right at the moment, so I better give her a bit of a rest. Hi. Is the wonderful Waverley Amateur Radio Society WARS Powerpole box kit. Now these are the Anderson connector Powerpole kits that have dedicated fuses for each of them, and also these are wonderful little. We're on a bit of a 3D printer printing night tonight. They 3D print their boxes, and you can see they now include. This is a relatively recent addition. A little voltmeter that plugs in here. A little digital voltmeter. There is your Anderson connectors that poke out here, which you supply current into, and then there is a row of Anderson connectors and fuses. There's a wonderful professionally produced PCB. There is also, they now produce a little 3D printed, there's a little bit of 3D printed scaffolding, so that you can align the fuses and the Anderson connectors. When you put them into the board, you can make sure that they're all aligned, and so they all pop out on the out the box. So this is a fantastic little addition, the 3D printed scaffolding, which enables you to make sure and align everything with when you mount it in the box. And this 3D printed scaffolding is supplied with all kits, so you get absolutely everything in the kit. you just need to put it together, the Anderson connectors, the box, everything, and some great instructions on how you put it all together. So a great little addition. This one's going on to a power supply that I have, so that I can then plug a whole lot of rigs into it, have 30 odd amps going into the Anderson connectors at the end, and then I can put a number of rigs on here, and the fuses are graded fuses. It goes from, I think, 30 amps down to 5 amps from one end to another. So that's the Waverley Powerpole kit, available from the Waverley Amateur Radio Society, WARS, in New South Wales. And can I just say, I ordered this, and 2 days later I actually had it on the doorstep. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was very cool. And another cool thing that arrived with it, I got a little bonus. I got a little bonus, which was, if we go to, oh, hang on, there we go. Sorry, I didn't do the transition terribly well there. If we zoom in here, I got a little folding phone stand. So this is a wonderful little, and can I just say, this is an in situ printed, which I think is absolutely a sensational bit of 3D printing here. This is a little 3D printed in situ phone stand. So this is all of these hinges and everything. If we pull that out, there we go. And I'll get my phone out and I'll do a demonstration. So there you go. You can and it's an adjustable angle. You can have it at a really high angle or a really low angle, and I'll turn it over. There we go. So you see how it all sits, and that is literally in situ printed. So all of those little hinges and everything that are on here are all printed in situ. So it comes out of the printer like that. I just can't believe, I absolutely can't believe that you can do this. But anyway, that was a little, with compliments, VK3BV, which is the club station of the Waverley Amateur Radio Society. I just that's a little bonus that you get if you order from them. So 3D printed phone stand, I absolutely love it. And 3D printing, we've got a bit of a 3D printing night tonight, haven't we? So that's the process. Now, the big news in amateur radio this week is the plethoric, and I mean many pages, the plethoric consultation paper on the proposed amateur radio qualification and assessor accreditation arrangements. That's one group of documents. The other group of documents that has been put out by the ACMA is the response to submissions, proposed amateur class license and consideration for high power operation. Now, this is the continuation of the paper that came out in September 2022, if my memory serves me correctly, and we responded to this. Many people responded to this, including the WIA. I was involved with the group that got this together, the response to this together. And from the high power point of view, I think they've sat on the fence a little bit, not going to make any changes at this point in time, or that's what the proposal is. They also they have put out the costing for assessments, which is looking impressive. The cost of assessments has gone down quite substantially. It's almost half. And the cost for call signs and the like about the same. So that's looking really impressive. We do have to go through this and work out whether it's going to work, which I suspect it probably will, and make a submission. And I encourage everybody to please read these documents. And if there is something that you want to actually say about the documents, then please, there is a template that the ACMA supplies, and the template has a whole bunch of questions in it for you to respond to, and they really like it when you stick to the template. So yeah, if you feel strongly about it and have something to say, then please take a look at these documents and make a submission. The WIA will certainly be making a submission, and we will be starting work on that in the not too distant future. These all have to be in by I think it's towards the end of September. The 26th I think was the date. All in by the 26th of September, and with a view to implementing some of it in December. There is some of this elements of this which is being implemented in December, but a vast majority of it is being implemented in February, which is when the AMC contract finishes up. So please take a look. If you're an amateur with a current license, you would have got an email about this. So yeah, take a look at it, respond to it if you want to. So now I'll just delve into my box of goodies, because I was going to finish off today, and we'll have a bit of a short one today, probably half an hour. And I'll just remind people, actually, next week, our presentation next week, it's the first Wednesday of September, so we've got a presentation night, and the presentation night is Ben VK7BEN, who will be giving us a presentation. Now, Ben is an IT professional, cyber security IT professional, and he'll be giving us a talk on cyber threats, and more importantly, what you can do to counter these cyber threats in your everyday shack life. So there you go. There is now. I'll finish off. I just wanted to, in the latest AR magazine, we've got. I probably should have brought along. I have an eyeball QSO QSL card from VK2VMP. Now, this is for anybody who's been to Sydney. You'll know the National Maritime Museum is in Sydney, and the National Maritime Museum has two ships out the front of it. They've probably got more by now. I actually haven't been there for a while, but they've probably got more. But when I was there, they had the HMS Vampire, and next to it, they had an Oberon class submarine that you could go through. They had the escape hatches at the front and the back of the boat. The bow and the stern. I should be using the right maritime terminology. And you could climb in one end and climb all the way through the submarine and then climb out the other end, which is absolutely fascinating. There's also an Oberon class submarine at the Fremantle Maritime Museum as well in Western Australia. So worth a look if you're ever in Sydney or Perth or Fremantle, a bit further down from Perth. So the Vampire, I started to go through the Vampire on this particular day, and I was hearing CW coming from somewhere, and I thought, I recognise that, and finally got to the signals area on the boat, and there is an amateur who's tapping away on a key, and so I had a bit of a chat with him, and he gave me one of these QSL cards. And with a eyeball QSO with VK7TW from VK2VMP, and I think he also wrote his call sign on there as well. So promoting ham radio on a heritage destroyer, and they have the group here that operates, they have particular days. They operate contests, and you can see here, enjoying a distant contact on 40 metres recently, Chris VK2VCG and Carmel VK2KAR on air from the Vampires radio room. Spot the ancient B40 receiver behind Chris. So fantastic. Now, when I turned over the page, there is a wonderful article by Richard Murnane, VK2SKY, who you would have heard on the WIA broadcast a few times, VK2SKY. And the thing that jumped out at me was, this is at one of our open days. Have a club open day. This is the club open day at Reast. So it shows, and Richard's talking about promoting ham radio while promoting your club. And a fantastic article about promotion of amateur radio, and lots of putting your club on the map and how you do that, and putting that on QRZ and a few of the other resources that are available. And he talks about first impressions count, get the picture, what's new, be seen, and talk to your local media, pressing matters about pictures and all sorts of stuff. So lots of, and a bit about promotional material that's available from the WIA. Now, I started to keep going through the magazine, and all of a sudden, here's another article by Richard, VK2SKY, tips to help lift your Jota promotion game. And here's another one, a picture I recognised from one of our earlier articles in AR, which were the little Arduino-based Morse code decoders that we built up for our open days. And we originally built these up for the Festival of Bright Ideas for Science Week. And so these have been used quite a lot, and they're really, really popular. People and kids come along and they can tap away on here using the little cheat sheet here. And what it does is come up with and decode the Morse code on the little LCD display. So I was a little bit intrigued, and it talks about in here lots of hands-on activities like HF operation, VHF, Morse code, slow scan, etc., battleships, and all the sorts of things which go on at the Jota days up in NTARC. NTARC are really fantastic at this. They have a whole lot of activities that the scouts get up to, and they come in groups and they work their way around each activity. So anyway, that's all I wanted to go on. This is volume 91, number 4 for 2023, and the next one's about to come out, and the next one will have what the next one will have in it is the 160 meter article, as well as I think some more VK7 centenary articles. So there you go. So we're continuing our centenary theme, hopefully all the way through until the end of the year in AR magazine. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you for any of our viewers. I'm sorry, I actually don't have the chat up right at the moment. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Anyway, I'll get the chat up and see what's happening. And in fact, what I can do, just bear with me. Let's go to YouTube on here, and it'll give me the chat. I just want to see whether anybody's made any comments on the chat channel, so that I can respond to the chat. It's working on it. It's working on it. No, don't want that. Not by the look of it. Anyway, oh yes. Sorry. Just took a while to come up. And we've got Andrew at Signet. Hello, Andrew. David Bannister. Hello. Andrew Cowley, all the way to 2E0REE. Hello, Andy. And Ron, VK7WRC, who is in Ullapool on the west coast of Scotland. Now, he was going across to the Isle of Skye and a few other places. I'm green with envy right at the moment because he showed me a picture of him sampling some whiskey. So If you're still there, Ron, I'm absolutely green with envy. So, yes, on the way to Isle of Skye today, that's it. Fantastic. So, good stuff. So thanks for calling in. Any of our listeners out there also on RF, thanks for being there. And I think we're getting a bit of a run going on our ATV studio, and our transitions are a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner. And thanks to Sean VK7WTF, we have right here. We have a wonderful little Arduino driven. Now, this is a keyboard emulator. And this keyboard emulator, what it does is for OBS, which is our open broadcast studio, which is what we use for streaming, this little, it's a whole lot of buttons that are all programmed to do particular keyboard functions when I push them. And you can see if I push the test card back to the mixer desk, we're back to here, and that's all done via particular buttons on here. So I can still be looking at the camera and just push the buttons. So fantastic work. So yeah, it's we're getting things together, and thank you to Sean for getting all this equipment together and doing some wonderful integration. So anyway, that's our show for tonight, 73, and we'll catch you next week. And a special shout out to Ron over there in Scotland, and enjoy the Isle of Skye, Ron. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and 73, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.